Hey there, friendlies. What's up? It is the end of dry week, so I'm going to celebrate with a rose fruité, 4.5% alcohol. This is by Shawbridge, which is somewhere. Well, Shawbridge is a town in Quebec, in Prévost, Quebec. Boulevard du Curé-Labelle. Okay. There's a Curé-Labelle Boulevard in every bloody town in this province. Because he was a big, big deal. In fact, his nickname was Le Roi du Nord, the King of the North. Come on, fool. Get your ass open. There we go. Okay. A red ale. Silence. Focus, damn you. There we go. Bitter, not in an overly hoppy way, but it's a very barley forward flavor, as many of the sort of the darker beers or ales tend to be. Touch of a sweetness there. Maybe like just a little bit of a honey. Quite nice. Quite nice. So, before we go any further, I want to do the usual intro. Welcome to the 2nd of September episode of my fantabulous little place on the web, where we have bivvies, we have blades, and we do tend to talk about bushcraft adjacent things. If at any point tonight you he rethinks what he's doing, if you're watching us time shifted to tomorrow or next week or whatever, I please know that I treasure the knowledge that you exist in the world and that you're spending some of your precious time on my content, even if you're too late to blah 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 in the corner. Just let me turn off my Wi-Fi. Let's hope it doesn't glitch. Doesn't look like it glitched. Excuse me. If at any point tonight you love what's going on, give me a smiley thumb, will you? If at any point tonight you really kind of hate what's going on, that's all right. Frowny thumb works just as well. And if you would like to take a more active role in supporting the channel, keeping that light on, as so many in the side chat already have, then I invite you to click that join button, right click the join button, pop it open in a new tab so that you can check out all the goodies that are available to you for your hard-earned money without, missing the live stream. Okay? Tonight we're going to talk about what's in your sort of your emergency kit. I don't mean like a go bag. I don't mean your 72-hour kit. I mean, do you have like an emergency kit in your car? First aid kit, sure, but do you have an emergency kit in your car? Do you have an emergency kit that you keep in the bag that you bring with you to work? Do you have like a little emergency kit that's sort of in one discrete bag or case in your home? Or do you, or at home, do you just sort of have stuff everywhere? The car emergency kit I find very interesting because, as I told you peeps, years ago, I had painstakingly put one together for the missus and plopped it in her car. And then while we were cleaning out the car for something, it got forgotten in the driveway next to the car, and it got completely inundated in a rainstorm. So most of the stuff was no longer good. Some of the stuff was still good, and I need to put a kit together again, but I just haven't done it yet. And it's been years because my brain. But before we get into that, before I get into that, you guys can start commenting on that right away. Let's start with your car kit. What are the top 10, 5, whatever? What are your top choices that go into a car kit? I've got a few ideas of my own. For instance, I want to have those little pylons that you put on the road. You know, if you're stalled, you have these little reflective triangles that you can put. Or some people just have little flares, right? I'm gonna check and see who's hanging with us. Nice. While you guys get the conversation started. Okay. Okay. Number one was Mr. Country Boy, who, like, he popped in at 8:57, which was like 3 minutes, maybe not even like 2 minutes after I hit the schedule button on this thing. So he's really on the ball tonight. Destiny popping in at 9:02, saying hi to me. To me. How you doing, Destiny? I hope all is well. I do want to sort of point out certain things here. Certain things must be pointed out. One is that Country Boy is not only a channel hero, but he's also a channel mod. That Destiny is a channel hero. You guys are warming the cockles in my heart. And we do love us some warm cockles. I'm just leaving the hello Jess up there because, cockles warmed. So then we got Canadian popping in. It looks like he's waving coolly from a campsite, or he's waving coolly and says he wishes I was camping, because I do as well. Oh my land, we got a honeybee in the house. How are you doing? How's the fam? How's the dog? Tea's a good drink. Show of hands. Should I start an ASMR channel? We got Christy in the house. How you doing? I'm hoping that everything is well and that you're not stanking hot down there. Just 1 second. I forgot to mention that Honeybee is a channel mod, so be nice, or he's gonna pound you into dust for me. Christy is a channel hero. I meant Chris. Yeah, I said Christy is a channel hero. Destiny saith that peanut trucker better be here, or somebody's gonna get hurt real bad. I'm gonna tell him you said that. We got LT Survival popping in. How are you doing? Ça va bien, monsieur? J'ai vu que tu avais ton premier feu de la saison. Non. First fire at your new house. Not the saison. C'est ridicule, ça. But yeah, I mean, I don't have a fire. I don't have the right to a fire. So I'm like, anytime someone, I'm scrolling through the book of faces and so I see a campfire or like a backyard fire pit. And I'm just like, you know what? To hell with everything. LT is probably going to have some interesting suggestions for emergency kits in the car, at the home, or that you bring to work and back. You know who's probably got like the world's biggest emergency kit? I don't know if many of you guys remember, but the OGs and LT will definitely remember. We had this guy Simon palling around with us for a while, but he's been just too busy to be around. That guy is equipped. He's got a toolkit for every situation, and I'm sure his emergency kits must be epic. Absolutely epic. Boom, 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 boom. I'm just taking a look at the stuffs here. We got Marcus popping in saying hi to everybody. Everybody. That gets really old. Marcus is a channel hero, by the way. How are you doing, Marcus? Are you surrounded by lanterns tonight? Are you watching us from a darkened room with nothing but the hiss and the and the bright light of Coleman lanterns. Destiny says La Roi du Nord as a nickname. Darn, that's ironic. I would love it if that was my nickname, because I've got this whole sort of the North has kind of a look. It's an ersatz thing, okay? It's kind of a false religiosity or something. But I'm dying to see the North. Like anytime something comes on about the North, like on like a documentary, I'm like, I got to see the North. I have the mal du Nord. I must see the North. I have an urge, a yen. So I think the Roi du Nord is a great nickname. It does in the first quarter of the 21st century. It does kind of sound like a Game of Thrones thing, but no. But no. Everything just jumped. God damn it. We got Man on the Street. How you doing, Al? I would like to point out just one little thing, that Man on the Street is a channel hero and a channel mod, so be nice. Or he gonna just punch you. He gonna punch you. Yeah, Al, we're talking about what's sort of in your emergency kit that you like to keep in your bag for work or transit, I guess, or in your car or at your home base. Hold on. LT. Can I show this? Just making sure your name's not. Yeah, no name. So that's good. LT's got a fire going right about now. Right about now. Funk Soul Brother. There we go. So yes, Al, we are going to talk about such things on this night of nights. We got Mark Davidson saying hi to me and to the usual rowdy peoples, to the peeps. How are you doing tonight, Mr. Mark, Mr. Davidson? Having a whiskey? Having a little drinky McPoo? Grace, how are you doing, Grace? Welcome to the stream. I have so many pens on this desk, and they're all fountain pens. China, Taiwan. Leftover from art school, although the nibs just fell behind my bass amp, so I'll get it later. And of course, the legendary Blackwing pencils. Still haven't sharpened them. Honeybee, as soon as I sharpen them, I'm going to draw a sketch and send it to you. I mean, I'll take a picture. Otherwise, it'll probably never get there. Canada is one of the countries that's not currently sending mail to the United States. Disney, well, Al is live and he's here. Al's, he's got stuff going on, man. He's, if he's not working on a car, he's doing the traveling or the cruising or living the life. It's the life. And he's saying hi to everyone, by the way. Apparently, Confucius says that any man who shits near a fan always turns out bad. I have never heard that before, but we'll just Destiny is turning it on here. Can we just turn the crank? Can we all just take a moment to acknowledge that the Al is finally back? Welcome back, Al. Welcome back. I just blanked on the rest of the lyrics to that. That's a deep cut, though. I don't think that show's been on the air since the early 80s or halfway through the 70s. I don't quite remember. It was a 70s show. Golden age of TV. I'm just scrolling. Hike with Mike popping in. How you doing, Mike? Any camping lately? Probably not. You're back in the school year. So we are also back in the school year now. The eldest started last week, and the youngest started grade 1 today. Canadian got an ad. I did not see an ad on my YouTube feed, but I guess it was there. Oh, okay. Destiny says we've added the portable battery booster to your vehicle emergency kit. I had one of those, but mine no longer works, so I have to replace that. Okay, everyone's getting. Destiny says Trax is next for the vehicle emergency kit. What's Trax? What the hell's Trax? I'm gonna look that up. If Tenenbaum were here, he would already have that going. Boop. Trax Footwear is a Saskatoon-based store specializing in CSA-approved casual and dress footwear, along with accessories. So you mean like if you have to walk? Is that what you're talking about, Destiny? Talking about the shoes? Gary Graham popping in. Howdy, y'all, he says. How is it going? Where are you joining us from tonight? General. Not like, I don't want to know your address. I just want to know, what state or province. How is the weather? You can just even say time zone. Gary, what we're talking about tonight is what's in your emergency kit for your car, your home, or your workplace or work bag or whatever. I'm just going to finish up saying hi to everyone, and then we'll get really into it. Hike with Mike says, car camping, I just load up the truck with more than I need. The opposite of backcountry camping. But like, do you have a dedicated emergency kit, like a truck kit, like I had for our car before the aforementioned mishap? Or do you just have a whole bunch of things in your truck that okay, I can grab this or that or whatever? David Evans popping in. How you doing tonight? Oops. Everything just... Why does it jump? Why does it jump? It drives me crazy. It drives me absolutely crazy. I'm trying to find it. I'll be with you guys in a second as soon as I find it. Oh, makes me angry. Because I don't want to just sort of continue, because I know I'm going to have missed someone who's popped in, right? How late am I? Okay. I found myself. Okay. By the way, David, I got really kind of distracted there. David is a channel hero and a channel mod. So be nice, or have the banhammer dropped upon the... Canadian spent the weekend milling cedar for siding on the cabin. I love the smell of cedar. Destiny says, we're discussing vitamins versus dehydrated food for the vehicle emergency kit. We have some of the food, but the vitamins take less space. That's true. Vites do take less space, but I mean, it's kind of nice to have something to eat, even just as like, if you can get all your minerals and crap from pills, that's great. But a chocolate bar will still do your spirit more good. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's good to have a little mix of both, because your the way I see the car emergency kit, or like an emergency kit rather than a 72-hour go bag or a go bag or whatever, the way I see it is, major blizzard, has your car snowed under in a traffic jam for 8 hours. Sounds like a Hollywood thing, except those of us in Canada know that that has happened, right? Like, so I see it as like a day, maybe 2 kind of thing. Um, yeah, like I don't even see it as a 3-day thing. You know, I sort of think 48 hours, you know, maybe you need like a little emergency blanket or, you know, look, you're stopped by the side of the road, your engine went on you, right? You put out the flares or the little triangular things and you hope that someone sees you before they plow into the back of your car kind of thing, you know? So like in that case, because we're talking about short term stuff, like the food doesn't have to take up too much room. But also, because we're talking about just a day or two, make sure you got water, but maybe some vitamin tablets or something are all you need. I just prefer to eat something. You know, it does me some it does the soul some good to eat something, especially like a little chocolate bar. That's why the chocolate is in so many kits, right? Like, you know, the Canadian Forces sort of IMPs. I'm looking for the American term for an IMP, MREs, just to make it more sort of international here. You know, so many little emergency, you know, shit hits the fan kits, like short term or whatever, have a little chunk of chocolate in there because it's good for your esprit, your spirit. Gary got an Opinel number 8 today. That is a classic. I've got a couple of those too in the camping stuff. There's one for me, one for the missus, and I think we got one for Camille, though I don't remember. But yeah, that's a lovely knife. Did you get one of the special editions or just the basic? Was it birch handle? Um, those are sharp as hell. Those are sharp as hell when they come sharp as hell. But yeah, I love an Opinel number 8. They have other sizes that may make more sense in certain contexts, but I'm a classicist, and the number 8 is the classic choice. And it's great for food, like, you know, cutting your steak or whatever, but you can use it to whittle a little thing if you need to make some, I don't know, chopsticks or whittle a fork or a spoon in a pinch kind of thing. It's a really handy size. And with that locking ring, I'm not worried about it sort of closing on me the way I am with some pocket knives. Mike says, been so busy, wish I could get out into the swamp for a camping trip. In the green swamp. Yeah, well, I mean, it's the start of the season, right? Is this no longer okay? Apparently we've had a bot. I did not see the bot. Christy says, in our truck, we just have a basic tool set and an axe and a first aid kit. So, but like, are those basic tools like you need to build a shelter? So you got like an axe, a hammer, and a saw, or is it basic car tools? Like, oh no, whatever, there's a leak and we need to change a spark plug on the side of the road, kind of thing. Carol's here. How are you doing, Carol? Do you have an emergency kit in your home or your vehicle? If so, what you got in it? Man on the Street says 3-day survival, full socket set, and additional tools. The Pew Pew emergency space blanket. That's a good one. That's what I always like to keep as well. Emergency space blanket. Knife, flares, flashlight, tool, of course, and a few other things. That's a good setup. So how much room would all that take? Well, you could probably fit most of that into a small-ish kit. But yeah, those emergency space blankets are they're like the secret weapon, man. So important. And they're affordable too. Like there's no reason not to throw 2 or 3 in. I guess 3 or 4 in. For space blankets, what I would do is I'd have one for each member of the family plus an extra. In case, just in case. Hey, Beto, how you doing? Do you have an emergency kit in your car or at your home? If so, what's in it? Scrolling. Oh, country boy finally figured out why he couldn't post a milestone chat. So why is that? Excuse me. Gary Graham carries flint and steel and now an opioid now number 8. I love flint and steel. It's my favorite. Absolute favorite. It took me longer to learn flint and steel than it did to learn the ferro rod, that's for sure, but it's unbeatable. I love it. So old, so like primordial, so ancient feeling. Yes, Christy, you can post it monthly. Yeah. But I'm wondering, as you are, what Mr. Countryboy found out. Everyone's just saying hi to each other, so I'm skipping. Oh, and a marine medical kit. What's the difference about in a marine medical kit? Is that sort of mostly trauma, like Israeli bandage, tourniquet, stuff like that? Marcus has no lantern lit tonight, nor do I. I still think we should do a FaceTime with our lanterns lit around us to sort of commune in the firelight. Oh, Countryboy says something happened with my Google payment details. Don't know why it changed itself. That's interesting. That's weird. Carol saying hi to everyone. Everyone's saying hi back. Al says it's more complete under the assumption that you might have to survive on an island. I guess has a more complete bandage setup, addition to meds, and etc. How big are they? So there's a medical kit sort of bag. It doesn't come populated, which is both a drag and kind of a blessing. But it's sort of supposed to be like I guess a combat personal first aid kit, and it's meant to be opened like with one hand, right? So you pull on it and it goes flop flop. So what it is like it's like this, and you pull on it and it goes, well, whatever. It's 3 layers that are sort of curled like a croissant, not like a brioche or a Danish or something. When you pull on it, it flump flump, so that you can use it one-handed. So that if you're can only have one hand to use for such things, because maybe your other hand is on a pew pew or something. The company says that it's sold to some military types as well. Hold on a second. But anyway, Russell was at the saloon, apparently. Gary's has a sling bag. You carry flint and steel, radio, tarp, 50 cord, 550 cord, yes, and a first aid kit. So, I mean, that's a good kit for if something happens to you while you're out in the woods, for sure. And you just like if you're driving, you just throw the sling bag into your car, and it acts as a car emergency kit as well, I guess. Destiny says, Al makes a good point about the long stick that makes a big boom. A smaller, discreet one for protection is a good idea for the list. Well, I mean, yes, but that's geographical, right? Up here, it would be problematic to defend yourself in that way. Well, I mean, it depends. Like, there's a lot of sort of discussion about this right now because in certain provinces, they would like sort of castle doctrine. And that's never going to fly, but you are allowed to defend yourself in Canada. It's just there's baked into that rule, there's an element of degree. You can defend yourself up to pew-pewing someone, but the degree of your defense has to be equal to the degree of the danger you're in. So if a guy breaks in and he's coming after your family with weapons, you're allowed to take him down. But so when I was getting my license, we went through this scenario, and the teacher said, here's the safest. Here's the way to kind of guarantee that you're not going to get in trouble. Look, if you defend yourself with a weapon, you're going to get arrested. That doesn't mean that they're going to press charges. That doesn't mean that you're going to jail. It's the process, right? Because a lot of people are like, what are they doing arresting? Well, that's what happens when a weapon is used. You get arrested, but that doesn't mean that you're going to jail or that they're going to press charges. But here, so the teacher or instructor or whatever went through the best scenario. Not the best scenario, but like the scenario that's safest for you, right? Someone's coming after your family. They have harm on their minds. You and your family barricade yourself in a bedroom. One of your kids or your wife is on the phone with 911. There's a guy in our house. They're coming to hurt us. You say through the door, get out of my house. I'm armed. And if you come after my family, I'll put you down, kind of thing. And then if they don't stop and you take them down, what 911 has to have heard if you say use 3 shots is bang, bang, bang. Because if they hear bang, bang, pause, bang, then that last one is an execution, and then you're cooked. All that to say, because I'm not going to get into whether this is right or wrong. I don't even care. All that to say that having a pew-pew in your emergency kit brings with it an assumption that you're not going to lose your mind just because suddenly everything gets stressful. I'm a believer in like the baseball bat for home defense. Child, what are you doing down here?
I was going to talk to you about my plans tomorrow. I see that's not the right time.
You may as well come and say hi now that you've interrupted my... She's interrupting everything.
Sorry, I'm in my uniform.
Oh, yeah, don't.
Unless you want to just like...
No, it's okay.
I'll talk to you about it later. Or I'll
Okay.
text you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Talk when I say hi, but I can't come and say hi for the obvious reason. So
Cody says hi, but she has her school uniform on, so she's not going to come on camera. Okay, I got a question for you. I live in a city where private schools and public schools both have uniforms. Public didn't have a uniform when I was in school, but we tell our kids, if somebody's asking you like where your school is and all this stuff, don't answer their questions. And then we put their school on their bloody shirt. Like what? Anyways, I'm getting distracted. Of course, I always get distracted. I went into a boring ass rabbit hole about self-defense and home defense, sparked by the car emergency kit, because Al has a pill dispenser in his emergency kit. So, but I will say that if you happen to be driving way out in the wilderness, I would absolutely pack heat for like bear defense. Well, bear you could just I might pack heat. I mean bear spray, yeah, but I might pack heat and bear spray just in case. I'm not sure. I've never thought about it, but now I will think about it. It's going to keep me up tonight because my brain doesn't work. Anyway, let me sort of go back. I'm lost. I'm absolutely lost. Oh, LT's going inside because the fires died down. Okay, see you soon. Are you kidding me? You have a Welcome Back Cotter poster in your classroom? That is the most meta little moment we've just had there. That's amazing. I love it. If you're traveling extensively, you add your jump pack as well. So, I mean, you're well prepared for whatever the hell may happen. Okay, you teach all the Sweat Hogs kids in school. Fair enough. I wonder if that show's still on somewhere, like on a streaming service or a. Like, I wonder if I can just watch a few episodes for old time's sake, you know. Christy says they go under a tire in case you get stuck in the mud or sand. Just sort of going back to what Christy said. So what I used to have, I mean, what I have, okay, like there's a winter kit that goes in the car, right? What do you call it? A de-icing scraper. On the other side, it's like a car brush, a snow brush. Jumper cables, and these plates that go under your wheels. Like if you're stuck on ice or in snow, you just stick these under, and the tire grips the plates, and you can sort of start moving. Stuff like that. I mean, it's not the same as an emergency kit. I'm just saying that you reminded me of those things that we keep in the car in the winter. Okay, and Country Boy says the same thing. Tracks are. This tells you that I am late here. It's 21:42, and I'm 20 minutes late. Okay, I looked up tracks, and it's a shoe thing in Saskatchewan, but yeah, okay. Destiny also says not tracks footwear, the tracks for under your tires. Yeah, so I have something similar. Gary is a retired Army veteran. How long you been retired? Like recent or a long time? And your NC would be North Carolina. I have that belief. Destiny says the tracks are usually vivid orange, popular with van life people. I like that. I'm into vivid orange because I lose stuff all the time. Mine are just sort of this metal, but I would be happier if they were orange. Because when it's dark, I've lost those things a couple of times. In fact, I think I'm missing one now. Marcus has different vehicle emergency kits for different occasions. But doesn't that sort of add complexity in that, oh, I'm going for X, so I need to grab the X emergency kit? Like you don't have I guess it just never occurred to me to sort of tailor my vehicle emergency kit for where I was going. Just jumped. Gary says e-tool, blanket, lights, extra battery. Lights are important. Absolutely. Like even it's just this little tiny O light, you need something. You need something, especially because if you're on a country road in the middle of the night and it's a moonless night, how are you gonna see? It is. I feel that it's better to have a headlamp though, so that if you're trying to change a tire, I mean, you can do this, right? But that starts to be a real uncomfortable real fast. That's why, like, I prefer to have a headlamp. Prefer a headlamp. Carol says the weather is excellent. 78 degrees here in the northern neck of Virginia. 78 is that's going to be like the upper teens, I guess, in degrees Canadian. Gary says chocolate is a morale booster. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why you got to have a little bit in that kit. Here's the thing though, like replace that every now and again, like once a year or something, because chocolate doesn't stay good forever. And I hate it. You know, you rip this thing open, it's a stale chocolate, it's starting to go all white and stuff. It's like Al says the exact same thing happened to your family in the blizzard of 78, stuck for 8 hours, and yeah, it happens sometimes. And that's so that it happens rarely doesn't mean it doesn't happen, right? It happens rarely. The first two words of that are it happens. So I mean that's why I that's sort of the degree of prep that I want to have in my car. You know, I want to make sure that if we're stuck for 9-12 hours in a snow, you know, in a snowed in highway, we don't freeze, right? That's where those little blankets come in handy. You know, the kind of lighting and stuff that we have, like you don't want to get carbon monoxide poisoning. You don't want to get like there's all kinds of things that you have to worry about. So if you got a bunch of camping stuff in the car and it's getting really cold, you can't just crank up the Coleman stove or the Coleman lantern, you know? So like LED lamps or flashlights or whatever, um, those little space blankets. Maybe a small electric hot plate or something. I'm just thinking because um, it would be nice to have sort of like a little warm ration or something, just as a spirit boost. You know, if you're stuck there for like half a day or something. Like Mike says, medical kit is most important in his opinion. You cannot make it without a medical kit. You need to have a first aid kit of some sort. It's very important because at the end of the day, mishaps happen, right? It happens rarely. Chop off the rarely. It happens. Destiny is asking, is there a Starlink for vehicles now? Yes, there is. I don't remember what it's called. But yes, there is. We looked at it last week, I think. And Al is going to install it on his, on his camper next season. Marcus asks David, have you lit any lanterns yet this year? Gary says basic. I don't remember what I asked about. Trying to remember what I asked about. Marcus says a good multi-tool is a must. Yeah, I agree. I have a multi-tool around here, so yeah. Right. It's not a super high-end Leatherman. It's got some basics, and one of them is a wrench. And you got to have something like this. You know, you may need to use a screwdriver, or what do they call them now? A bit driver. You may need cut a little wire, wrench a little wrench. Get down tonight. Doesn't have to be a Leatherman though. Gerber makes some very good ones now. Victorinox makes some good ones now. But like I don't necessarily think you need to have like a belt knife or anything like that. An open L number 8 would be nice though. Russell says that somehow Al is the number 3 fan. Well, it's because he keeps dropping the knowledge, man. How good Mike says, unto Gary Graham. As a kid, I grew up on Long Island. The blizzard of 78 was intense. I think we had a whole week off from school. As a kid, it was awesome playing in the snow. Ah, Gary, yeah. You patinaed it with mustard? That's nice. That's cool. Yeah. The lovely thing about a patina is it's a layer of protection against bona fide rust, right? I mean, it looks cool, but also it helps to sort of keep the blade. Is yours a carbon or a stainless? Like stainless, it will say Enox on the side for because that's what stainless steel is in French. Gary's originally from WV, West Virginia. Mountain Mama. Take me home. Country roads. Man on the street says once I turn it on, he's talking about the portable Musk machine, whatever it's called. Pay like $150 US a month for only the period of time you specify. May 1st to November 1st. Interesting. Okay, so you can have it dormant for months at a time. That's good to know because that was one thing that I was wondering about. Was that great? I have this thing while I'm on a canoe trip, sort of at the front of my canoe, but then for the rest of the month when I'm at home, now what? But yeah, okay, that's cool. And $150 a month isn't really. Ooh, that's 150 US. It's not bad though. It's not too bad. Like as Destiny says, it's workable. Hi, good Mike says some favorite 80s metal CDs are important for your truck. Fair enough. Excuse me. Music can bring up the soul as well. Oh, 2152. I would say, Christy, how come you didn't remind me to pour whiskey? But I'm like a half an hour late on these. Well, not quite, but I'm quite late. It barely fits in a backpack, says Al. Okay, so LT in his car kit always has flares. Yep. Blanket. Yep. Flashlight, socket, and breaker bar knife. Okay. Candy and first aid. Yeah, the candy does the same thing as the chocolate. In fact, little hard candies might last longer. I mean, I guess that would depend on how moist the air gets in your car during certain seasons, though. Run in the glove box. Put one in the glove box. Okay, yeah. Al says, when I go on a lengthy trip, I just grab the pee and the backpack. Done. So you keep it in a backpack. It's almost the same backpack setup that you carry when hunting. Christy says maybe some candles in the vehicle for heat wouldn't work here in Arizona. Probably not. You might not need a heat source. Although, like out in the desert at like 3 a.m, doesn't it get kind of cold? I go with Mike. Loves flint and steel. That is all I use, but always carry a lighter for backup. Never needed to use a lighter. Yeah, me too. I always have a lighter for backup for sure. Yeah, he's talking about what I was asking about the Marine first aid kit. It's geared more towards trauma. That makes a lot of sense. And I want my first aid kit that I'm using out in the bush to be geared more towards trauma as well, because what's going to happen? Okay, like maybe I get giardia or something, but what I'm worried about is an axe mishap, a saw mishap, a knife mishap, right? I don't need aspirin if I've just whacked my shin with an axe. I need some blood clotting powder, whatever that stuff is called. Al will probably know what that stuff is called. Reminding everyone to hit that like button. And I back him on that concept. Yeah, I don't know where Peanut Trucker is. Excuse me. I don't know, Destiny. IFAC. Is that the Oh, Russell finally got the notification that I was live at 9:32. Yeah. Yes, that's exactly what Al was referencing. Yep. Okay. Individual first aid kit. It's individual, right? Russell says he keeps an axe, saw, tiny tool kit, and a small medical kit on your ATV. That's a good setup. Yeah. Curmudgeon's here. How you doing? How's things in Alaska right now? Oh, 21:55. I'm gonna pour myself a dram and just let it sort of air out a bit. So this is going to be a 3-year. So if we use the usual Scotch rule of a minute in the glass per year in the cask, that means I have to sort of let it sit for 3 minutes. But I mean, once you get down there, that kind of doesn't mean much. Little 10 o'clock whiskey. Boom, boom. There we go. Now, it's a very light color because there's no caramel coloring in this, but it looks like water in this light, practically. But anyway, you can let that sort of sit there. This is Christy makes a great point about the candle in the vehicle for heat. A work colleague hit the ditch on the way home, and her scented candle kept her warm until nearby military base rescued. In a small enclosed space, a candle can actually be a heat source. In this room, forget about it. But in something like a car, yeah, for sure. Hike with Mike says, always be proactive. I always measure up potential dangerous situations wherever I go. I just heard, oh, Russell just gave me $5 for something. Hold on, let me see if I can get to that. Wait, why did he do that? I will be number one now and forever. Okay. And did it work? Did you buy your way into number one? Let me see. Where was I? Everything. Yeah. What LT is saying is, is essentially what I was saying. If you take a weapon to someone, look, if there's a fight, the cops get involved. Fight on the street, fight on the, but it's a formality. They have to do it because violence, especially with weapons, requires process. Not a lot of people who are defending themselves end up in jail. It does happen sometimes. Very often it's because the person defending himself went a little too big. I have this whole sort of, I have a personal level of degree. If somebody comes in and they want my TV, take the TV, right? Everyone's life is worth more than a TV. Miscreant, me, take the damn TV. Insurance will buy me one, and law enforcement is going to get your ass for reasons I'm not going to go into in public. If they want my computer, I'm going to be angry about it. I'm going to say, look, at least let me take out my hard drive, kind of thing. But they're not, the screens, they're bolted to my desk, right? So they're not going to leave with the screens. If they take my bases, I'll probably defend the bases, but I'm not going to. I will warn them first. I have a baseball bat near my door. It should probably be under my bed. It should probably be under my bed, actually. But yeah, I would defend my bases because I can't afford to replace them. Especially that one that I've shown a couple of times. The brown one. Cannot. That was a one-off in this lifetime for me. But the only place I would really, really go, full on Mother Tiger is if they come after, the madame or the kids. No hesitation. No hesitation. Whatever it takes. And I'll roll the bones. And you know what? This isn't me trying to sound all brave. I'm pretty damn sure most of you could say the exact same thing. If someone comes after my family, I ain't even stopping to think. Because it's just human nature. It's just human nature, right? Survival kicks in. You protect your, the young. Every animal, most animals also protect their young. You're not going to want to get between a mama bear and her little kitty bears, right? I know they're not kitty bears. I'm just being cutesy. And people are the same, right? Someone reaches for your kid, and you may not remember what happens next, but you know that the bastard's on the ground. Oh yeah, but so yeah, you will be arrested. Doesn't mean that the prosecutors are going to they're not necessarily going to be gunning for you. They make a determination as to whether or not as to whether or not it's worthwhile, I guess, to press charges. Yeah. Excuse me. Gary says a 9-iron. Yeah, that's legit too. That's legit. And the nice thing about something like that is it's not something that you necessarily have as a weapon. In the same way as if, sorry, I've got a really, really dry throat here, and I'm trying to sort of create saliva to fix it, but it's not happening. I was reading a Pew Pew mag at one point, back when I was much more active with such things. It was one of the American magazines. I don't remember which one, but there was an article in it, and they said, look, if you defend your house with one of these things, even in the States, say you use a shot, a boomstick, right? scatter shot. Have one with a wooden stock. Have one that doesn't look tactical, because then no, I have it for hunting. Whereas if you have something that looks really tactical, a jury might think that you were just waiting for someone to try something. You know, so like a 9-iron is great. A baseball bat is great. Excuse me. You know, in a pinch and in a lucky shot, you know, like a freaking pocket knife is fine. Whereas if you run someone through with a katana, it might not go well for you, kind of thing. Like Mike says, Country West is hi, Cody. Yeah, yeah, she did say hi, but she just stopped herself from stepping on camera with her school uniform on. Fred Sanford from Sanford and Son loved to use a baseball bat for his home defense, and so my bat is aluminium, so it doesn't have quite the same weight as a good old hickory stick, but it would make a satisfying sound. That's for sure. Home defense is never radical. Don't know what that's referring to, but yeah. Another advert. Okay. I again haven't seen any adverts. Gary is out. All right. Good night, Gary. I'm probably too late at this point, but I hope that everyone said good night to you. Mike says, I always carry bear spray and an air horn when camping in the backcountry after my bear encounter alone in the swamp in the middle of the night. I hadn't even thought of that, but an air horn might actually be a real good secret weapon against the bear. Just like terrify the poor guy. Horse Shack was the best. Oh, Mike says, I will take a pic of the poster and send it to you next live stream. Fair enough. I like it. I want to see it. Oh, Horse Shack. Okay. I was like, what the hell? Mike says, I carry 4 plastic rain gutter funnels in your truck to prevent getting stuck on the forest roads. Florida has a lot of sugar sand that can bog you down. 4 plastic rain gutter funnels. I know what you're talking about. The ones that sort of go down on the ground with sort of the ridges. Is that what you're saying? Mike needs to get the tracks. Hey, up north of 60 in the house. How you doing? We're talking about what's in your car or home or work sort of emergency kit, if you have something. We've come up with several things like what they were saying, tracks, those things that you put under your tires if you can't get traction and you're stuck in the snow or the ice. Everyone's saying a first aid kit for sure. I like to have those little reflective triangles that you can put on the highway behind you so that no one comes and plows into your arse. Or flares will work just as well. Flares might work better. I'm not sure. Like, I don't know which of those two options is best. So I mean, you live up north. What would you what would you have? What do you have in your truck? Because I'm imagining there's a lot of highway action up there where there's no one around. Like, I know that the north isn't crisscrossed with roads the way more southern Ontario and Quebec are. That's for sure. But like, there must be areas where if you get stuck, there ain't nobody coming. Mike is thinking about taking Monday off to camp out on Sunday night in the woods to see the blood moon. I think you should do that. I back you. I give you permission. You can tell that to your boss. You can say, Jesse from Rain Dance Bushcraft says, I need to take this day off so that I can camp out, see the blood moon. Jim, Hi. Bug out bag in your truck. Wife calls it your divorce kit. Audi, driving home. Safe drive. We'll see you soon. Hike with Mike says, I know it sounds weird living in Florida, but I keep 2 wool blankets in your truck as I'm not used to cold temperatures and I'm a low 8 guy. Not a lot of body fat. Fair enough. Even in the summer, I always have a wool blanket with me. I would like to have 2. I was dreaming of getting a Hudson's Bay blanket, man. Like you guys would not believe, for years since I was a teenager. Not gonna happen. But I have an old Canadian Forces blanket, the gray one with the dark gray stripe down the middle. I'm gonna mute myself. Oh yeah, right. The MREs, which would be an IMP for those of us north of the border, you just have a chemical warming / cooking system, sort of. We had back in the day when you were serving. Yeah, it's like it's kind of in the bag, isn't it? Yeah, I wonder how that works. Is it just like a chemical reaction? Like, do you break a little? Do you just shake it to mix chemicals? Is that how it works? David Evans has a first aid kit, fire extinguisher, small knife, Noco jump starter, and warm clothes. A jump starter is important, man. And some rope. Jump starter is important. Hike with Mike needs to get a fire extinguisher. We have fire extinguishers in this house, let me tell you. Russell says the jump starter is a good one. I used mine last winter on an employee at the Tweed subway. She loved it. Just being all heroic for the Tweed subway people. Jim says gloves, reflective vest. Oh, a reflective vest. I hadn't even thought of that, but yeah. On a dark highway. No streetlights around that. Yeah. 3 triangular warning signs like I do. Or like I did. Headlamp, yep. Bottle jack, okay. Breaker bar, full size spare. Scanner, small toolkit, duct tape, tarps, Starlink Mini, first aid, and 95 mask. That's a good kit. In fact, I'm gonna write that kit down because some of it is, some of it gels with mine, but like I didn't even think of gloves or a reflective vest, and like, okay, Jess, on the side of the road in February with no gloves. Just writing it down. Headlamp, as I said as well, important. Full size spare is interesting because I don't have a full size in mine. I just have that undersized one, but I think a full size spare is superior in every way. Excuse me. Yeah. Okay, I have written that down. And do you have a kit in your house as well, Mr. Up North of 60? I'm never sure who doesn't want me to use their real name, so. Chrissy says, yeah, the desert does get cold in the winter. Yeah. Sean Alaska, I haven't seen you in a minute. You've been doing some constructing lately. 2 had vacations over, eh? But yeah, nice work on the construction projects. Excuse me. Sean in Alaska, we're discussing what kind of like emergency kit you might have in your car or in your home, or something you take to work and back. the kit I thought would be quite different, say up north, than it is down here. But excuse me, that doesn't seem to be quite borne out by like what up north of 60 said he wants in his, or he has in his kit. Just sort of taking a look here. Everyone's saying hi. Yeah, Curmudgeon says, nice work on the woodshed, brother. Truth. Curmudgeon, just getting ready for winter and looking for Bullwinkle. I looked for Bullwinkle a few times too, but I never found him. Never did. Manager says Celox is what is in my kits. I don't even know what Celox is. I do not even know what Celox is. Hold on a second. Oh yeah, so there's Russell giving me $5 to be number one. Did it work, by the way? Are you number one? Hold on, let me scroll to the bottom here. Oh my land. No, Christy, number, hold on. Unsure. Everything sort of jumped. Al says, if you feel like breaking into my house and stealing my TV is worth more than your life, bye-bye. Say hello to your preferred maker. Yeah. I think there was a while when I was younger that the hip hop crowd were taking each other out over Air Forces, like a shoe. And when these kids were asked, like, do you think a shoe is worth dying for? They all said no. Half these kids were, were putting each other either in the ground or down on the, or, at least down on the sidewalk over shoes, because there's a lot there was a lot wrapped up in people's shoes. I mean, and when I was a young adult, sort of the skinhead and punk set, well, mostly the skinhead set, kind of did the same thing with Doc Martens back when Docs were like really well made and kind of had a counterculture image to them. I had a couple of friends who got rocked for their Doc Martens, walking home in their socks. There's not a lot in my house that I would go to the mats for. But every single person living here, I absolutely would. It's kind of the way we're taught up here, though, right? Like, there's no castle doctrine. As soon as you have a castle doctrine, it changes the way you see what is in your castle. You know what I'm saying? I go, this is all just stuff. This is all just stuff. Don't touch my bases. But aside from that, it's all just stuff. Yeah, moose mamas are crazy protective, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Destiny says that your preferred maker is the best of the quotable quotes so far. Russell, this is nothing like a tactile tire iron under your bed. Would that be like more practical than a baseball bat? because it's smaller. So like in a hallway, it's easier to maneuver. I'm unsure. Excuse me. LT says that baseball bat, 9-iron, and pocket will get you charged. That we've seen in Ontario. It all depends on what the threat level was. Country was, there was no baseball bat, officer. He fell down the stairs 3 times. Raven, SV Raven. How's it going, Jim? He keeps 2 bushcraft knives, an old army tactical knife, and 2 fillet knives next to your seat. Not sure why. You are well equipped for any bushcraft or fishing situation, shall we say. 3 times for good luck, says Destiny. Yeah, you know what? That's true, Mike. Flares could start a forest fire. Yeah. Yeah, that changes my mind. That makes it like the little triangles, all the way for me. Number 1 with a bullet. Because we don't need any more wildfires. So Sean says, in winter, I keep a heavy sleeping bag and a set of cables. All year, you have water and a first aid kit and lights, headlamps in winter. Yeah, that's of course a big, heavy sleeping bag is probably a must up there. Alaska, Yukon, Northwest Territories. The little space blanket that we can get away with down here is probably nowhere near up to the task in, say, December, January. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Curmudgeon says, our best system for safety in winter is we just do not go out. The great thing about living remote, mid-September to mid-May, we almost hardly go to town. Truck gets 700 miles put on it a year. Wow. I'm just doing the mental calculation. Yeah, that's pretty light use. Love it. SV Jim likes to have a fire extinguisher. Yep, absolutely. You guys are all getting ads. You add water, crush the lower part of the bag, and then wait for the proper. Yeah. I think I saw one of those in action. I don't think those come in IMPs, but I'm not sure about that. Or maybe they come in certain ones. I've bought a few IMPs, like fairly old ones, and they didn't have that kind of bag. But I don't have much memory of it though. So yeah, I wonder. Jim says, I keep a white gas Coleman stove and a homemade wood gas stove. Just crack the windows if you're going to be using those inside. Oh yeah, and packs of ramen noodles for sure. Secret weapon for an emergency kit in the car, eh? Hey, Tim's here. How you doing, Tim? Just dropped in to see what condition my condition is in. Doing okay, Tim. Doing all right. Doing as well as can be expected, I guess. Oh, Celux is that powder I was talking about. I didn't see. I had no idea what it was called, but now I do, and now I shall work that into conversation as soon as possible. I'll be at work tomorrow, trying to find a way to get Celux into the convo. David texted Peanut Trucker. He'll join soon. That's good. That's good. Destiny says, Destiny, for their Martin's dock, they got rocked. Okay. Oh, LT's out. Good night. I think I'm still way too late, but I hope people say good night to LT. Actually, I'm catching up. I'm catching up because I'm skipping. Man on the Street says it's called a stand your ground law. Yeah, we don't have them here. That's the thing. There is call to have them, but it'll never go, because you have to make changes to the law at a federal level. We're never going to get that here. And we can talk pews not on the live stream one night, because I try to keep the pew discussion off the channel, but we both have gun ownership in common. I just poured myself another dram because I'm celebrating the end of dry week. I'm glad I did dry week, though, because I shed a couple of pounds every time I do a dry week, and I'm still a fat ass. Curmudgeon, it's time for dinner. You all have an amazing night. Okay, eat well. Have a good supper. Why do I think that was Tim saying that? But yeah, nice to have Curmudgeon along for the ride for a while. Christy says, I thought that pink insulation in the backseat. I thought that pink insulation in the backseat for the longest time was how you would keep warm. No, that stuff's itchy, man. You don't want that next to you. I used to, when I was working on houses, I hated that stuff. We always feel like, oh, God, I remember once we were, this was a job I was doing with my dad, because my dad sort of got me into construction back then, got me onto some sites and stuff, because I was like a 15-year-old kid, right? I was doing a job with him. We were cutting out, it was like a den or something in a very rich person's house, kind of a cathedral ceiling kind of thing, by which I mean, like, there was none of this sort of, roof like this and then like a ceiling like this with an attic. It was like, so we cut out the square to sink this, to lower the or to install the skylight, and a piece of that pink stuff came through, and my dad turned to me to talk and inhaled to say something, and in it went. And I was like, I cannot imagine a worse nightmare right now than having that happen, because I hate the way that stuff feels on the skin. Russell could go for some tater tots covered in cheese and chili. I could go for cheese. I could always go for cheese. Cheesy chili tater tots. Sour cream on the side. That actually sounds pretty good. I do like me some sour cream. Yeah, that's an interesting question, Destiny, because I never really know. Because, like, the Saint Bernard with the little tiny barrel around his neck, bringing a little tot to those who got caught in an avalanche. But I read somewhere years and years ago that it's actually not good. It doesn't warm you. But I don't know. He said, slurping on whiskey. Yeah, I don't know. Here's a question for those of you who know anything about trauma. I don't mean emotional trauma. I know enough about that, but I mean physical trauma. Like, say, let's do a little thought experiment here. He said, shooting himself right off screen. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. Let's do a little thought experiment, okay? Along the lines, we're talking about an emergency. You're at a campsite or whatever, or maybe you're in your car and you're trapped and you cut yourself. If you have a high enough octane booze with you, like maybe this is only a 40%, so maybe not. or maybe, or like something cast strength, 50% ABV kind of thing. Would that work as a disinfectant in a pinch instead of like rubbing alcohol or whatever the other stuff is called? I mean, or like maybe vodka, like Country Boy Trapped in the City has done something. Why didn't it show the whole message? I'll check that later. Like a high octane vodka, or like a 60% gin or something, or whiskey. I wonder if that would work in a pinch as a disinfectant. So, like, you got a bottle in the car, in the trunk or something. You stab yourself with your bushcraft knife. You're like, not like you didn't sever an artery or something. Maybe you just, I've cut myself. And it's relatively deep, but the knife was kind of maybe a little dirty, or you're not sure, or you're not in the cleanest of environments. The reason I'm wondering that is because this author, Connie Willis, did a book about someone who goes back in time from Oxford University. Has David Evans donated something. What do you guys donate? Oh, it's because you all want to be number one, right? Well, you're all number one in my heart. So she goes back in time and ends up in England during one of the sweeps of bubonic plague, and she was using like wine, like a high alcohol wine or something, as a disinfectant. And I wonder if that would work in a pinch, because I kind of feel that Everclear sure as hell would. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me. Apparently, Scott does not understand the power of the dark side. Oh, because Scott was trying to take number one, but he's having issues. Peanut Trucker says, "Hey, all, helping a friend that got some bad news. Being a support system right now. Hope everyone's doing all right. Hey, Peanut Trucker, drop us like a hot potato. That's fine. That go. We'll talk about it later. And I deeply hope that your friend's going to be okay. But yeah, no pressure. Go be a good friend." Country Boy says, "Yeah, same as I think I read. Alcohol lowers body temp. It's a bad idea." Everything. Okay. Destiny says, "Celebrates dry week whilst on his Tuesday Night Lives, just as corked himself. My haiku for the night. Not sure what corked means. Me neither, but it's funny. Look, dry week is over." So I wonder if I should have done like a dry September. Like, I've done dry January and I've lost a lot of weight, and it made me kind of like appreciate the alcohol more when I got back to it afterwards. And it taught me that if you can take a month off, you're not in trouble. Russell says, "The one thing I didn't film when building my cabin was insulation. I just wanted to get it done over as fast as humanly possible." Well, yeah, that's the thing. When you're doing a big project like that, at some point, you just want to be finished. You just want to get done, you know? Destiny says, "Haiku, cheesy tater tots, drizzled with some chili sauce. Russell's tasty treat." I'm rocking the 575 tonight. You sure are. Country Boy celebrates 28 months of membership. Does this work? Yes, it did, because I saw the thing sort of pop up right about there. I'm gonna have to look into why it doesn't show the whole message though. I probably have the box sort of, here it is. There's a box right here, and it's probably not quite big enough, or maybe I can drop the size of the font a little bit. Russell laughs in dark side. David Evans popping in with a $6 donation. You can buy Just as Love too. Yes, you can. Thank you very much. Okay, so Russell says anything. ChatGPT says that anything below 50% won't be very effective. Okay, so it's a good thing that I like my whiskey to be over 50% then. You know, just in case I step on a rusty nail or something. I had to talk about a rusty nail while discussing alcohol. Stepped on a rusty nail. Did you get glass in your foot? That's not even remotely funny. Russell says, I'm surprised at that. Yeah, me too. I would have thought that like a 40%, but Country Boy says, I'm getting pissed off, but I guess that's better than being pissed on. Yes. Yeah, I completely agree. Jim says, ideally you want at least 70% or higher, but a 40 to 50 would work to disinfect. Yeah, interesting. So like the Everclear would absolutely work, but some of my whiskeys would kind of like. David says, I have 4 bats of R14. If anyone wants them, must pick up. Nope. Or in the event of no ETOH, emergency transport to hospital, squeeze and promote bleeding within reason to push out bacteria and debris, and then flush with water. Apply pressure and cover wound with clean dressing. That makes a lot of sense to me, actually. For sure. Just gonna have a little sip of tea. Why? Why am I sipping tea? Because it's a good drink. Because I've already had 2 grams of whiskey, and so I'm not having another one. So next week that'll get bottled down if it doesn't happen in between. Because I mean that's 2 grams worth right there. I'm gonna buy this again. This is like $65. Tastes like $100 whiskey. I like it. It's there's nothing too ridiculous about it. It's not single malt or anything. It's a blend. But for Japanese whiskey, it's very affordable. Also, it's Japanese whiskey with no chill filtering and no caramel color, which is surprising because Japanese whiskey is usually so engineered. But yeah, I'm going to buy another one of those. Excuse me. Oh, I'm so tired of yawning. Which is funny because I'm yawning because I'm so tired. Anyway. Hold on a second. I'm scrolling back to see what Russell says on the wound, not in the wound, but I'm not sure what he's referring to. Did I say something about that? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's very interesting about squeeze and promote bleeding within reason to push out bacteria and debris. That makes absolute sense. I would never have thought to do that though. And then flush with water, irrigating the wound. That would never have occurred to me. My YouTube page is way behind the streaming streaming software, streaming thing, whatever it is, streaming app. So I stand by my feeling that for my car kit, it would be one space blanket per person in my family, and then at least one extra just in case. Because they're also, I mean, those blankets are useful for more than just wrapping around yourself, right? You can use them as a heat reflector if you've got like a little fire going. Skip, how you doing? Do you have an emergency kit in your car, Skip? If so, what's in it? Especially with punctures. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, for sure. I can absolutely. I'm gonna sneeze. Just give me a second. That was awkward. When I was a kid, I was wandering about in rubber boots, and I stepped on a rake. So not like those ones that's like all these little sort of whatever these little sticks of metal, right? It looks like a fan, but the kind that comes up and is straight across with like on it, right? So I stepped on that rake, and for some reason, instead of being like assommé, knocked out by the handle, um, it just sort of went like, so here's the rake. I stepped on it, like right into my foot. It was so bloody painful. That was a tetanus shot. Um, Miraculously, they decided not to do a stitch. I think actually, I don't remember about that. But yeah, it was a tetanus shot. And it was painful, and it ruined a perfectly good rubber boot. And worst of all, it was embarrassing. It's like, of course, that happened to Jesse. Anyone in the right mind would have been completely clonked by, by the rate coming up. But this guy punctures his fucking foot. I don't remember why oh yeah, because 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 of the especially with punctures. Man, and of course I was in Vancouver, right? So Quebec Medicare in Vancouver. It worked fine, but it doesn't always. It's not a guarantee. I injured myself a lot in BC. I was trying to ride on two inner tubes, like one stacked on the other in a small bay off Bowen Island, I think. For some reason, I'd like taken one sort of inner tube and put another one on, and then I tried to climb up and get, because I was a young boy, so of course I was stupid, and I fell off back first onto a huge rock of barnacles and just shredded my back. The disinfecting on that was epic and painful. But yeah. I think I've had a rabies shot or two out in Vancouver. I lost a pitched battle with a raccoon one night over the garbage. Yeah, I mean, those guys, they just don't care. They're like honey badger's least favorite cousin, David Evans, my brother got bit by an unvaccinated dog. Nothing worse than getting treated for rabies. Country Boy says, hold on, everything. Country Boy says, you aren't the only klutz, Jess. I'm a walking accident looking for someone to happen. Destiny, that's a quotable quote. How many carry a tourniquet and know how to use it? I don't. I don't carry one because I don't know how to use it. I read that a tourniquet is a bad idea because you cut off the blood flow and you might have to amputate or whatever. But I don't even know if that's true or if that's just some like panicky mofo spewing a bunch of crap. I'm taking this watch off. It's been driving me crazy for an hour. But I have this residual doubt. So like I don't carry a tourniquet. I don't know how to use it anyway. Well, you wrap it and you tighten. I don't know how it works. So I would rather not have a tool than have one and use it wrong thinking that I'm helping someone. good to have one though. Like if you know how to use them, it's good to have one. I guess you carry one though, of course. Stupid sinuses. Yeah. I mean, I'd like to know how to use a tourniquet because then I would carry one, but I don't at this point know how to use it. And by the way, what he says there is important, right? Having a first aid kit is great. Having a first aid kit and not knowing how to use anything in it is a problem. So if you are building your own emergency kit and have a first aid kit sort of as the center of that, and like you're populating your own first aid kit, buy 2 of everything. One to have for if the crap hits the fan or you get knocked off the road at like 3 a.m. or something. But also have bought carbon copies of everything so that you can train yourself in how to use them or get training on how to use them. Watch YouTubes. I mean, anything, but know how to use everything in that kit because you can do some really crazy damage using some of the stuff in that kit improperly through no fault of your own. Right? I'm not going to throw a shade here, but if you don't know what you're doing, don't have the item in your kit because somebody's hurting or you're hurting and you're just grabbing at anything that you think is going to help. And it's just dangerous to do that. Destiny entered into the quotable quotes. Thank you very much. A lot of things can be used as a tourniquet, a belt, a scarf, tie. Yeah. Jim says it's fine for up to 2 hours with little damage, providing you go to the emergency room. Okay, that's good to know. That's very good to know, actually. Wow. In a course, you heard that of a case where someone's leg survived 4 hours on a tourniquet. That's interesting. What fell? Deck of cards. So now I feel compelled to pull a card. Deck of cards. These cards are way too new. They still smell. They still have that like that new car smell. That new card smell. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. Let's pull a card. Just for the fun of it. Are you gonna... 2 of diamonds. Got a jack here. Is it queen of diamonds? Jack o' spades. That's enough of that. Do love playing cards. I like to always have a set on me. Country Boy just discovered a brilliant drink snack combo: peanut butter pretzels and booby. Fair enough. Russell says, I think next live stream we should discuss EDC. I'm okay with discussing EDC for sure. Yeah, we can do that. Just somebody remind me after the stream is over. So Jim says, the longer Okay, so the longer you have the tourniquet on, the higher the risk of losing limb. But 4 hours should be on the upper end of that time frame for risk versus reward, life over limb. That's true. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. Like, do you want to die because you didn't want to risk losing your left arm, kind of thing? No, no, I'll take the chance for sure. For sure, eh? Man, it's the kind of choice you don't ever want to be in the position to have to make, though, right? Like, if you're in that choice, something went seriously wrong somewhere in your day. And you hear about these things like, so and so was out spelunking or walking across an ice floe or whatever, fell, got his arm stuck under a thing of ice and had to just cut it off to get out. Like, oh no. What was his name? Is there supposed to be Northern Lights tonight? Yes. I don't think they come far enough south for me, though. I'm not sure. Yeah, well, I agree with Russell. I wouldn't want to wait around for 4 hours with that thing on either. It can't be comfy. It's got to feel awful. Oh, yes. In fact, Jim says it's very uncomfortable or brutal. Yeah, I could absolutely see that. Like, nope. I don't want to be in that position. Nobody does, and yet some people are in that position sometimes, and it's weird to sort of think about how. Sorry, I'm just trying to get comfy on this chair. So and so went on a hiking expedition to enjoy the woods or enjoy the ice floe or whatever, and then suddenly you're in the position where you're using a tourniquet and you've got a space blanket because you're afraid of freezing to death before help comes, and you're like, "Where's my damn chocolate?" It's like I always say, about survival, right? Survival is camping by accident. Like, if you're trying to survive, something went wrong. And I think that's why it's always been so easy for me to say, this bag shall be like an emergency, sort of a survival bag. And this bag over here will be a bushcraft bag. And these bags are not supposed to exchange items. In the survival bag, I will put maybe a belt knife or a saw that it gives me that just doesn't give me the fizz, right? Maybe a cold steel knife or something. Well, it has to be robust enough that it's not going to let you down, but that's not where you're going to put your fancy uh, temagami or your hella anything or your whatever. That's where you're going to put a real meat and potatoes version of your woods gear or your whatever. I just glitched. I don't know where I was going with this. I don't know where I started. And I don't know where I'm going. So this is directionless as hell. Moving right along. Just looking at what Russell says onto up north of 60. I'd love to see a video where you're on an island in the Caribbean or the Caribbean, and you're setting up a hot tent on the beach. Like, it's gonna be a rough night, so better get a stove running. That's a weird thing to want to see. I think I'm at the bottom. Yes, I've reached the bottom of the chat, so I'm no longer late, which is great because there's only 8 minutes left of the stream. but it's just Russell and David being hilarious anyway. So we're okay. We're absolutely okay. So, are we agreed that we're doing EDC next week then? Is that what the official word is? Who's got great EDC that they can't wait to share next week? Can't wait to tell us about. My EDC is very, very sparse, mostly because I can never get up the energy to make the kind of real research that seems to entail. I love it. Up north of 60 is picking up Russell's idea and running with it. Off-grid cabin, 45 degrees Celsius, hot, humid, hot tent camping alone on an island. Bangers and beans. Yeah, I was trying to figure out something to say about that. 6 minutes left until stop time. Bangers and beans. Well, it got to be about food. You're going to make me hungry, and then I'm going to be eating before bed, lying down, not using up any calories. Not using any calories. It's okay. I was just distracted by something off screen that's not really working. So I'll deal with that afterwards as well. So Christy asked, what is, Christy says, EDC? It's everyday carry. So if you have a pocket knife that you carry every day, or if you have a pencil case, like, this is my favorite pen. I carry it with me every day. Like for me, my EDC would be heavy on my brain book, which is upstairs right now. A good fountain pen, like a shopping bag, a reusable shopping bag just in case. Maybe a book, right? Because your EDC is not always going to be something survival oriented. Like for some people, EDC is keys, wallet, the latest whatever book by so and so, maybe a small first aid kit or a small multi-tool just in case, maybe some hand sanitizer and a mask. Whereas like an EDC for someone who's like real prepper oriented will be very different. Take up much more of a backpack, be much more geared towards lethality. But EDC in itself doesn't have to be any one specific thing. It's everyday carry, whatever that means to you in terms of your stuff. Right? What do you have on you every single day? Wallet. Okay, what else? Watch. What else? Glasses. Got to be able to see. What else? Food stamps. I don't know, like whatever it is, whether it's something very survival oriented, something very bushcraft oriented, maybe you carry an axe every single day, which sounds weird even to me. But you know what I'm saying. Okay, Christy says that EDC would be very boring for her because it's just her personal cell and work cell. Because you work from home. Right. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, 2 cell phones. Okay, but Christy, do you always work from the same desk? Because your EDC might just be things that you shift around the house if that's what you do. If you don't go out, like maybe you like to. Maybe there's something of a grandparents or something that you feel soothing. How the hell did I end up on that sentence? I have no idea how I ended up on that sentence. I mean, it's partly because my brain is melting at this point. I'm tired. Country Boy has, in fact, said that his truck is a rolling survival kit. Yes, I remember that. Jim says, my EDC is a folding pocket knife and a mini ferro rod woven with a paracord bracelet. Yeah, because you can use the back of the knife if it has a 90-degree angle as a striker for the ferro rod. So it makes perfect sense. Christy says, yes, I work from a desk, and if I leave the desk, I have your 2 cells. Fair enough. Oh, no. No yawns from Jesse tonight. That's amazing. And then I said, as soon as that's, never mind. You know what I'm saying? Fudge. I mean, but the good news is it's 11:59, so I'm about to go to bed. Oh, it's 11 o'clock. Okay, so everybody, everybody, have a good week. I hope to see you all next week for the EDC discussion. If you remember, come in next week with like, what's your one favorite EDC item as well. You know, I'll be like, Destiny, what's your EDC? You'll say, blap, 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 blap. Oh, and by the way, blap. Like, I'd like to know what people love in their EDCs. Yeah, so that's good. That's what next week is going to be all about. So between now and next week, as I always say, please everybody do the following things: be safe, be sane, be healthy, and be kind to one another. Good night, people.